Hey guys, we are going back in time today. We're going to be covering the things that I talked about in March. So I'm going to be doing mini reviews of all the products I talked about in that month. So I didn't do any hauls in the month of March, surprise, surprise, but I did do a lot of like first impressions, wear tests, and demos and things like that. So let's go ahead and jump into all the products that I covered in the month of March. All right, we're starting with the doozy. So on March 5th, I talked about all of the Tom Ford Soleil Summer 2018 products. And so I definitely have opinions on this stuff. So this contouring compact, this is in 03 Nude Glow. And I think I mentioned sort of my displeasure with this particular palette because in the previous two, the Afternooner and the Soleil Afterglow, I think is what it's called, there was a bronzer, a blush, and a highlighter. Very typical face palette. Love that. Easy to travel with. And I thought in the promo pics that this was just going to be like a light bronzer. And I thought, oh, that could be nice. It turns out that you basically have two highlighters and a blush. So it's really weird. And this blush is so powdery. It's like you bring your brush anywhere near that and the kick up is tremendous. And it gets into these other powders, which are much lighter. So this particular contouring compact, I was not a fan of. I'm very much a fan of the Afternooner, as you guys know. I've mentioned that a lot. The Soleil Afterglow is really lovely. It's a little bit dark for my skin tone. It's very, very bright, but it's lovely. It's a really great face palette. This one I think really fell short, so I did not like this one. In this video, I also talked about the Shadow Extremes. I did a whole nother video, 4 videos later, talking about how those shadows just did not work out for me at all, and I returned all of those shadows. Those were not good at all. Like, I don't know what they were doing. With this whole like extreme line, I really don't know what Tom Ford was doing. Many of those products just were not good at all. Like the lip lacquer, not the lip lacquers, the lip extremes, I think is what they're called. I got one and it was awful. It was like so drying and just terrible. I think I did that in one of my products that did not work out for me. So anyway, those were the 2 things from that video that I really just did not like. Everything else was wonderful. The 2 lipsticks that I talk about, these are the 2 lip color sheers. One's in Nudiste and one is in Bamboo. I love these. These have like a metallic shift to them. They're just gorgeous. Love this. Wore this a lot this past summer. Bamboo is a little bit deeper. So this one I have a feeling I'm going to be wearing a bit more come this fall. But isn't that pretty? So they are definitely on the sheer side, but there's enough pigment there. They're just really moisturizing. They have that beautiful metallic sheen, which you guys know I love. So those were a big winner for me. The blush duo. So this is the one that comes in Exotic Flora. So this is the one that came out this past summer. These are really lovely too. Admittedly, I have not used these that much. They are very, very bright, as you can see. But I know I have reached for this duo when I have been looking for like a really, really bright, cheap color. This one definitely comes to mind. And the quality is there. They're just lovely, lovely blushes. So that's Exotic Flora. Had no problem with that. This was also a big winner in this collection. This is the Shade and Illuminate Glow Stick in Sunstruck. I believe this is the only shade in this particular Shade and Illuminate stick. So on one side you have a blush, which is so beautiful. I just love it. As you can see, it's super pigmented. And then on the other side is the quote unquote illuminate, but it is pretty deep. And I like this as a kind of like a bronze blush area kind of illuminator. I'll just kind of like rub it like kind of far back on my cheek area, and it's just gorgeous. So I love this Shade and Illuminate stick. And then I got both of the iCole Intense duos. So these are both double-ended. I really love these as well. This is the Soleil Blanc one. So this one has a white on one end and then more of like a bronzy color on the other end. And these are beautiful pencils. These are just like their iCole Intense, the single pencils. So there is the white, and then I don't know if you can see the gold over there. So I love this one, and this one as well. This is the Aventura, or La Aventura, and this has a cooler tone metallic shade on one side. I've used this quite a bit, actually. I need to sharpen it. And then a more teal color side. So there's the cooler metallic, and then there's the teal. So beautiful. So I love these pencils. These worked out really well for me as well. And then finally, we have the Cream and Powder Eye color. So Emerald Isles was the more green, and then Azure Sun was the more like kind of turquoise blue. Admittedly, I have not worn these a lot. I maybe have worn them once or twice since I talked about them in this video. This one is just, I think, too deep of a green. It just, I don't know, I just never thought of this for summer, but it is beautiful. And I think come fall, this will be really great. It almost comes off like a grayish green. So yeah, so this did not evoke summer for me too much. The Azure Sun definitely does. This is a really beautiful, beautiful blue color, but just not a color that I wear often. And then here, I made a bit of a mess there. There's the Azure Sun. So this one is really beautiful. Absolutely nothing wrong with these duos. I just didn't reach for them that much. All right, next up, I talked about the ABH Soft Glam palette. This palette, I love. It's just great. If you like Anastasia Beverly Hills eyeshadows, you'll love this. It is absolutely gorgeous. I just love it. It's such a pretty palette. I think it's like very, very wearable, very, very office appropriate. And then there are plenty of shades in here to really like amp up your look. I just think it's just beautiful. It's just stunning. So big fan of the Soft Glam palette still. Oh, and then I did a wear test for the Laura Mercier Flawless Fusion Ultra Longwear Concealer. This concealer I still love. It's really great. It has like a peachy tone to it. I have it in the shade 2N. So I picked a neutral shade. So for neutral, I felt it was a little bit peachy, but that was okay. It was really nice. It was brightening. It did color correction. I have like sallowness around my eyes. It's very, very lovely. It definitely is long wear. It didn't emphasize my lines. It was a very creamy texture. So I really enjoy this concealer still. Next, I talked about the Viseart Petite Pro 2, and that's the one with the kind of really bright watermelony shade. I love these Petit Pro little palettes. I just think they're so, so handy. I think the price point is amazing. I just love how portable they are, how travel friendly they are. They have a little mirror, and these little pans pop out if you want to play around. Like if you have the other Petit Pro, there's 3 now altogether. If you kind of want to like swap them out or whatever, you can kind of play around with them. But this one is just great. Viseart quality shadows, 4 mattes, 4 shimmers, really easy to use. I just love this palette. It's great. Next, I talk about the NARS Easy Glow Cheek palettes. I have it in the Rêve Soleil and the Coucher de Soleil. Probably slaughtering those names completely. These were okay. I thought they were very nice. They're just not as good as the NARS Banque de Sable, which was, I think, what everyone was hoping these were going to be. The Coucher de Soleil is a little bit too warm for me. I think in the video I tried using this as a blush. This didn't really work out. The tone of it made, I don't know, it just looked kind of more bruise-like than like a nice deep kind of like mauve color. But this ended up being kind of a nice blush. So these were okay, but they're just, I don't know, they just were not the same as the Banque de Sable. They just didn't have the same impact as the Banque de Sable. They feel the same. When I swatch them and I feel them in the pan, they feel the same, but they just don't have the same impact. So anyway, these were okay. These were okay. I think these were limited editions. So if you missed them, don't feel bad. I don't think you really missed anything. The next thing is something that was pretty controversial, I feel like. The Natasha Denona Tropic palette. I was, I think, in the very, very, very small minority of actually really liking this Tropic palette. I know so many of my friends purchased this and returned it. They were like, no way. And the fact that this just went on sale at Sephora, the fact that this is apparently limited edition and it's still available is a sign that I think a lot of people didn't really like this. It got a really bad rap. I liked it. I could see, I guess, why some people didn't like it, but I really liked it. It worked out for me. When I first purchased this, I was reaching for this all the time to kind of create just a nice, neutral, everyday kind of like eye look. I love the matte formula in here. I love the pigmentation. They're super soft, really, really buttery mattes. I just really enjoyed them. Now, I think the issue came with these really bright kind of crazy bright shadows in there. And people were talking about how they developed hard pan and this and that. And yes, I definitely have hard pan on these shadows, but it hasn't kind of prevented me from being able to kind of like pick up product. I haven't had a problem with that. So let me swatch some of these for you. And you can see that they're just really rich in pigment. I really just didn't have any problem with these shadows at all. I just think they're really, really lovely. I don't know. And the limoncello color here, I just think is so unique. That's this yellow color up here. I just think it's so unique. It's like this really white, like icy color. And it's just stunning. So I really like this Tropic palette. I feel bad for those who got what maybe were kind of like dud palettes, because I did watch a bunch of videos and it really didn't look like anyone was able to pick up any kind of amount of product. But again, I haven't had any problem with that. So I'm a big fan of this palette. And then I did 3 videos in a row of the Pat McGrath 6-pan small mothership palettes. You guys know I love the Platinum Bronze and the Bronze Ambition. Love these. Now, the La Vie en Rose palette was just kind of not my favorite, and I think I mentioned this in the video, and not because of the color scheme, not because these are colors that I don't normally wear, but I didn't feel like, was it this? Yeah, it was this matte color. So the dark maroon color here, this one right over here, I just didn't feel like was very good. It's very, very dry and hard in the pan, and it was very patchy when I tried to use it. I don't know, like it just didn't seem like a typical Pat McGrath shadow. This one definitely seemed different, and I don't know if it's because it's a purple shadow, which I think are notoriously difficult to create. The rest of them were fine. I think maybe there was another color I had issue with. Was it the pink? Yeah, I think it was the pink that's right next door to it. It just is like really, really dry. And I just remember them not blending out quite as nicely as all the other Pat McGrath shadows that I've experienced. So this one just wasn't really my favorite. Let's see, I did a review of Sonia G's second release of brushes. I still love them all, as you guys know. I just love her brushes. If any of those shapes speak to you, get it, give it a shot. I don't think you'll regret it. Very, very lovely brushes. Oh, and then the Chantecaille 20th Anniversary Eyeshadow Palette. This is another palette I think got a really bad rap. I saw a bunch of reviews talking about how people did not think that these were very pigmented and they just didn't show up on the skin very nicely. I think for me, they worked out. I think they're a great everyday eyeshadow. I think kind of what ruined it is that these are definitely not like Instagram kind of eyeshadows. They are very, very subtle. The colors are very, very subtle. But they're Chantecaille quality, so they're super soft, super silky, and I think that they worked beautifully. Now, no, you're not going to get a really dramatic eye look in there, and while they could have swapped out one of these 2 shades at the top for something darker to kind of allow you to build a little bit of dimension in here, I still think the shadows are really lovely. I don't think this quad is like a standalone quad. Like I said, I would want something much darker to be able to create some dimension or to line my lash line, but these shadows do pop out. They're really lovely and I don't have a problem with them. And this like elephant shade, this one down here, is so pretty. Like if you like a really cool like pink color, it's so pretty. That's how I would categorize this palette. It's very, very pretty. The shadows are very high quality. I think that they're super soft, super silky, easy to use, but I don't think that this quad is a standalone quad. I think in terms of the shade range, it's just a little bit too flat. All right, and then I did a look using the Glossier Lid Stars. So I have 5 of the colors here. And I think a lot of the feedback I've heard from these is that they're just too subtle, but if you know anything about Glossier, that's sort of like the name of their game. Like just really subtle, just one step, one shade away from being like fully natural. Like that's their thing. So I wasn't expecting anything like va va voom. I wasn't expecting anything, again, was not expecting Instagram ready makeup. These are just to add like a little bit of sparkle, a little bit to your lid. I'm gonna go ahead and swatch a couple here. This one is Moon, and there is Moon right there. So you can see that it would just add like a little bit of shine to your lid, but nothing crazy. And when I wore these, they didn't crease on me. I've heard that they've creased on some people. I think with most kind of like liquid shadows, you just can't use a lot. That's when it starts to crease. That's when you'll see it move around a lot. But if you put like a nice kind of thin, easy layer of any kind of liquid shadow, these included, I don't think you'll have that much of a problem. If you do want more impact, you could tap these on top of like a darker shadow. So this one is Herb, and this color's really beautiful. So there's Herb. Again, it's really, really subtle. You know, you're gonna just like tap it onto your lid. And so while these are probably not for everyone, especially with things like the Stila Glitter and Glow or the Shimmer and Glow eyeshadows, liquid eyeshadows that have so much more impact, these can't compete in that arena. But if you're looking for just something really easy, something gentle looking, something a little bit more natural looking, I think they're wonderful also. I feel like this was the month of like me liking stuff that no one else liked. Let's see. I also did a makeup brush haul, so I'm gonna do kind of a follow-up video to that. So I won't talk about those just yet. And then the last thing I talked about in that month is the Persona Identity eyeshadow palette. You guys know how much I love this eyeshadow palette. I really am still like wanting to do a 3 looks 1 palette. I just have not gotten the chance. Those videos are very labor intensive, not to throw that on you, but they're very labor intensive and I just haven't had the time to do it. But I love this eyeshadow palette. This is a wonderful, wonderful palette. I think it's so like smart. It's so like nicely laid out. The color range is really beautiful. You can make so many different looks with just this palette. There's 12 shades in total. There's 3 matte, 3 shimmer. It's just so smart, like really, really just a really smart palette. So I'm loving this, and if I can just get my act together, I will be definitely doing a 3 looks 1 palette with this. Sorry guys, thank you for your patience. But this one I love, it's a goodie. So that's it for the month of March. I hope you guys are enjoying these videos. I hope it's helpful to have me go back and kind of do reviews on makeup that I've talked about a while ago. I don't know, if it's boring, let me know down below in the comment section. But I'm definitely gonna try and like speed it up so that I can catch up, so that I'm not, I don't know, further than like maybe 2 or 3 months out. Anyway, give this video a thumbs up if you liked it and subscribe before you leave if you haven't already. I will see you in my next video.